In this video, we're going to learn how to find the value of any function if we're given the quadrant and another trig value. The key is just to draw the picture. So they give us the quadrant, so just go ahead and draw the quadrant. Okay, try to draw better than I did. All right, why am I drawing quadrant 3? I know, get it together. So let's see, so here I am in quadrant 4. So I'm going to draw my triangle against the x-axis like you do, because it's a reference angle. Okay. So let's use the one value that we have in order to make some sides of this triangle. Cosine, what's the definition of cosine? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So that means this side of the triangle is 12, and the hypotenuse is 13. All right? So we need to find the other side. If you've memorized 5, 12, 13 is a right triangle, you can go ahead and put 5 right now. If that's not one of the ones you've memorized, then you would need to do the Pythagorean Theorem, of course. So I'm going to call this y because it's vertical. So we're doing y squared plus 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. All right? Fast forward. Y equals 5. I trust that you can do the Pythagorean Theorem. So y equals 5. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 right here. Once you have all three sides, of course you should be able to do... Whoa! Slow down. I almost made a mistake. You have to be careful about the signs, meaning positive, negative. If it should the 12 or the 5 be negative right now? The 5 has to be negative to do this, okay? Because it's down 5. It's down 5. Now I can find any function I want. So cotangent. What do you know about cotangent?
It's the opposite of tangent.
Right, it's the reciprocal of tangent. So what's the definition of tangent?
Opposite over adjacent.
Opposite over adjacent. That means cotangent has got to be adjacent over opposite.
But couldn't we have done this without finding the...
Oh yeah, I guess we didn't need the 13. I get so used to just doing it. I didn't think about the fact that we didn't really need the 13. Wait, we need the 5 though.
So we have to... wait, never mind.
Yeah, so because we're doing opposite over adjacent. So, I'm sorry, we're doing adjacent over opposite. So that's going to be 12 over negative 5. So there's that negative 5 that we just found. And that's the answer, 12 over negative 5.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Let's do all of it.
All right. Number 5 is very similar. All right, so I'll include this. Number 6 is very similar. So I'm going to include this in the same video. This time, instead of telling us which quadrant it is, they gave us a point, but that basically tells us the quadrant. So negative 4, 2, what quadrant is that going to be in?
3.
No.
Wait, my bad. Wait.
That's going to be in quadrant 2, because
I meant that, you know.
you're right, girl. So that's because it's negative 4, 2 is going to be left 4 up 2. So it's going to be this type of a deal. Okay, but if this is the point negative 4, comma 2, then that helps me put numbers on the triangle. So negative 4, so this will be negative 4 horizontally. 2 is the y value, so it'll be 2 vertically. Okay? This time I'm supposed to find all 6 trig functions, so I'm definitely going to need the hypotenuse. So I'm going to do the Pythagorean Theorem. I heard root 20. All right, go ahead and simplify that for me if you can. So when I do the Pythagorean Theorem, I'm talking about 2 squared plus negative 4 squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. Okay? I trust that you can solve this yourself and get root 20. But remember how we simplify these things down. I'm hearing 2 root 5. All right, can we accept that root 20? 20 is 4 times 5. Oh no. All right.
What's the opposite of sine? Cosecant?
Cosecant. All right, so it's going to be 2 radical 5. All right? Like we'll do some shout outs at the end, but we just won't say anything racist, that's all. We'll just leave the racism out of it. Let's leave race out of it.
We had a race talk yesterday.
All right. I'm not saying we can't talk about it, just off camera. So hypotenuse is 2 radical 5. Whoa, that's too light.
Mr. Burton, where would the angle thing go? What's standard position?
It just means like just a normal standard position means we're starting from the positive x-axis and measuring like this.
So the angle is definitely.
Technically, this is the green angle I just drew is the angle that we're talking about. All right, but as long as we use the negative on this 4 like we're supposed to, looking at this reference angle will give us the correct values as long as we use the negative sign on this 4. So I'm going to do all the functions now. Sine, cosine, tangent. So I've got sine theta, opposite over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 2 over 2 root 5. But that simplifies down to 1 over root 5. And then I've got cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's going to be negative 4 over 2 root 5. So that's going to be negative 2 over root 5. And then tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that's going to be negative 1/2. It's negative 2 over 4. Well, 2 over negative 4, but that's 1/2.
If we don't simplify the test tomorrow, is that wrong?
It's like wrong. It's half wrong.
Thanks.
No idea.
Didn't even consider it.
So, now we'll do the reciprocal ones. I'm going to squeeze these in here. So, the reciprocal of sine is cosecant. So that's just going to be radical 5. The reciprocal of cosine is secant. So that's going to be negative root 5 over 2. And of course the reciprocal of tangent is cotangent. And that's just going to be negative 2. Okay? All right. Hold on, pause. All right, so one more example on this video, number 7. Find the remaining 5 trig functions given that, isn't that what we just did?
No. Get the final 6.
All right, it seems like number 5 is the exact same thing as number 7 here. All right, whatever. We'll just do it again, more practice. So quadrant 2. So draw yourself a quadrant 2.
Which row? We don't have room.
Being a realist man, you know.
All right, quadrant 2. So let's draw our triangle out into quadrant 2. So there's quadrant 2. They're telling us that the sine is 3/8. That is opposite over hypotenuse. So I'm looking at this reference angle. So opposite is 3. The hypotenuse would have to be 8. Do your Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so I'm just going to set it up, but I'm not going to work it out. So 3 squared plus x squared is equal to 8 squared. All right, solve that out and tell me what x is. All right, so you wind up getting root 55 if you solve out the Pythagorean theorem. I'm just going to trust that you can. If you don't know how to solve Pythagorean theorem, you probably got bigger problems. You need to watch a different video. So just, look it up in the search bar, Pythagorean theorem. So we get root 55. So now we should be able to do any function that we want. So can I erase this? Oh, it's gone. So let's just do all the functions. So sine is the one that we already have. All right, it's 3 over 8, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's radical 55 over 8. tangent, opposite over adjacent. So that's 3 over radical 55. Wait, slow down. Dunya said, shouldn't the radical 55 be negative? Okay? And she's exactly right. Thank you, Dunya. Because this is to the left, so that x value needs to be negative. Okay? So that means this should be negative here, and it should be negative right there. Okay? So now when we do the reciprocal trig functions, the sine function reciprocal is cosecant. So that's going to be 8 over 3. Cosine reciprocal is secant. So that's going to be negative 8 over radical 55. Tangent, the reciprocal is cotangent. So that's going to be negative radical 55 over 3. Okay? So that's it. All right, one more on this video. All right? Again, it's going to be quadrant 4. They tell us the quadrant, so we can just go ahead and draw that quadrant. All right, quadrant 4 is going to be right here. All right. Again, guys, if I go a little too fast, that's the beauty of this being on video. Just go back and watch it as many times as you want tonight. The only bad video is the video that I don't get to make. So here we are in quadrant 4. Now, secant. Remember, secant is the reciprocal of the cosine function. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? That means secant must be hypotenuse over adjacent. So this 6 must be the hypotenuse, and this 5 must be adjacent. So once again, Pythagorean Theorem to find the missing side. All right, so this is your Pythagorean Theorem, and I'm told that that's going to be radical 11 when you solve that out. So again, I'm just going to trust that you can solve Pythagorean Theorem. All right, if not, please see your doctor immediately. Something should be negative. Yes, thank you for catching me. Once again, because it is down, this radical 11 that we just put needs to be a negative radical 11.
I'm trying to watch this video.
Yeah. So let's make this a negative. Okay, so now we can do all of the trig functions. So, sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's negative radical 11 over 6. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's 5 over 6. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. So that's negative radical 11 over 5. And then the reciprocal functions. So cosecant. Shh, quiet guys. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So that's 6 over 5. And cotangent. So that's 5 over radical 11. All right? So that's going to do it for this video. Any shout-outs?
Hey.
Yo, shout out to Miss Bazzuto.
I want to hear from...
My and my math. No, not my math.
Shout out to Mr. B.
All right. All right. All right, guys. I hope this was a helpful video. I'll see you.
Follow Joey.
See you on the next video.
Bazzuto,